Okay, Team Kendall, looking good. Kendall, you sound a little tentative right now, and I just want to reaffirm some things. I would say that if you're not uncomfortable at this point in the process, something is wrong. It's the nature of the beast in prototyping. We're taking a lot of components, pieces, parts. There's ideas flying everywhere. There's you should feel uneasy about the prototyping project midstream. I think that that's natural, and I think it's a natural byproduct of the whole process itself, being that we're mixing and things are flying around, ideas are changing quickly. That's why we rapid prototype, because we're changing our minds, we're adding features, we're taking away features, we're realizing that this decision may not be human centered. We're realizing that this decision may not employ design thinking. This decision may not be indicative of deep dive immersion, right? So to feel a little uneasy right now, I think it's healthy. I really do. I think it's natural. And only because we have so many moving parts at this, like, I'm going to make a prediction, and I promise you, I promise you I'm right. Next week at this time, you're going to be feeling really, really confident. Check that. By this Sunday, when you submit your work, you're going to feel a lot more confident because things are going to start moving into place. Okay. So please don't feel uneasy right now. Just think of it right now as a work in progress. Okay, very yes, VR layout's going to be tricky. I want to talk about that a little bit. Hard to imagine having never used a VR headset. It's probably not the ideal choice, and I disagree. I think it is the ideal choice because that's how deep dive immersion works. We don't preclude our decisions based on contemporary technology. We say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to take this idea to fruition, even though the technology may not be as advanced as it should be at this point, or as it could be at this point. We're still going to employ this technology. Otherwise, the whole process stops because we're not deep diving. Does that make sense? It's really important, Team Kendall. It's really important. And that's why we're saying, okay, let's go ahead with the virtual reality headset. Let's go ahead with the drive simulator, because these are things that are going to drive the industry to make change, right? So let's not stop. Let's not quash our creativity based on the fact that maybe holographic projection isn't 100% where it should be at this point, or where it could be at this point. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so, and I want to talk about that a little bit further, and I'm going to do that when we get into your into your clickable and your process book. So the back button. Okay, so like design, voice command, compatibility. Ask a virtual salesperson questions. You would build and customize a car potential. Go back to the previous screen. Okay, this is where I'm a little bit confused. So are you, when you configure the car, are you configuring the car with the VR headset on? And are you making choices within that virtual environment? Okay, and that's the part I'm confused about. And again, I'll talk about that when we get to the presentation. PowerPoint's not complete. I get that. I get it totally. Looking forward to again. Let's go ahead and take a look. So I've got two things open. I've got your process book, and I've got the clickable. So let's go ahead and take a look at the clickable first, and then we'll talk about the process book. So in the clickable, I'm seeing. Let me get these separated here. Okay, so in the clickable, I'm just wondering about the orientation. I'm going to bring that down. It's long and narrow. What is the interface here? Is this for the iPad, or is this what you see when you wear the goggles? To me, it almost seems like because it's such a long, narrow screen, it almost seems like what you would see wearing the VR goggles. But how would you make choices with the VR goggles? That part isn't specifically indicated yet. So let's say you got your Honda Pilot, pick your color. All right, so interior color or whatever. So how do we, if this is a VR headset, what do we do? Is it like the what was that called? The Wii Kinetic, the game where you play, you actually, based on your hand gestures. So with the virtual headset on, do you reach up and touch the air? So what the virtual headset will pick up your recognition and click interior? Is that how the configurator works? Is it all virtual? So are you wearing the headset and saying, okay, interior. Okay, I'm going to pick Luna Silver. Okay, let's move to the exterior. And then I'm going to pick so-and-so. So is that how it works? Now, if it is, that's great. If it's not, I have a comment and a recommendation, and that comment is this. So right now we have in your clickables, we've got interior. So Or is that exterior? So interior. So we have exterior. So we have the exterior color. You pick your exterior color. You pick your interior color. Okay, and then you have your interior packages, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have your interior. Now, at what point does this get sent over to like a holographic projection, or at what point do we see the build? Okay, so if this is a virtual headset where you're making your choices for the configurator, once you hit complete, you get to the last page, you hit complete, view my vehicle, you hit that, and then you can see your vehicle right in front of you, life size, where you can walk around it with the goggles on, make your choices, talk to the virtual salesperson to answer questions, etc., make your changes, all within the environment of the virtual headset, right? The other option, and this is the part where I'm just a little confused. Let's go over here. The other option is this, is that you've got, it looks like you've got a wonderful combination of things going on here, especially when we get to the end of improving the situation. Personas, Honda Pilot, okay, virtual lens technology. Then we have sketches, build your Honda. So to me, that's what it looks like. It looks like we're building using virtual headset. Then you have the virtual salesperson that you can talk to. Wow. Then you have the virtual test drive. I want to talk about that. Okay. So the only other option here would be to add an interface of a mobile app, okay? And then what the mobile app could do is it's right now this is saying that you have to go to the dealership to access the virtual reality headset so that you can configure the car and see it in the virtual headset, right? The other option is to add a mobile app where you can just go right ahead and configure from the comfort of your own home, send that information to the dealership so it's there when you get there, all your choices. And when you get to the dealership, you can put the virtual headset on, enter your code, and there is your vehicle and your build out where you can make changes, talk to the virtual salesperson, et cetera, right? Does that make sense? So that's another option. I think that would really add a nice robust nature to that. And typically, I think another thing you could do is by adding a mobile app, you could also add a kiosk, just a kiosk to the dealership, maybe for those who aren't interested in wearing the virtual headset. Okay, does that make sense? So we have two ways to access, one remote, one off-site, both leading to the same goal, and that's configuring the vehicle. Now, the VR headset is something you would have to put on once you get to the dealership, right? Because whether you configure it with your mobile app or you configure it right at the dealership with the virtual headset. Let's say you configure it mobile app and then go to the dealership and access it, put the virtual headset on. That's when you can really see your car, right? Okay, now this is where it gets a little sticky, guys, and let me tell you about this. Addressing the problem, improving the situation, persona one, get your personas. I understand it's a work in process. I get that. Picking a car. So you build out your car, right? Then you can see your car. Then you talk to the virtual salesperson, ask questions, change features, blah, blah, blah. Is there a questionnaire to start with? Can we add a questionnaire just to start the whole process so that they can make recommendations to the best model to suit you based on your driving needs, your driving habits, your environment, and your physical stature? Okay, so a questionnaire to start the process would be a great idea. Then we have the virtual test drive, and that's what I want to get to right here. Okay, so here's the part about the virtual test drive. It's a great idea. I think it really is a home run for this project. I mean, it's all in one, man. We don't have to bring in the salesperson or finance people until all of our choices are made, and that's an ideal situation when you think about it. So my recommendation is this, is we have the virtual test drive. So theoretically, you can't do a test drive with a virtual headset. The reason for that is, let's say you're going to pick a really bumpy road. How are you going to feel the bumps in the road with a headset? It would have to be a dedicated, some kind of a pod that you would climb into that has, hydraulics and things that would simulate different road conditions, road hazards, different driving conditions, weather conditions, hills, valleys, etc. Do you see what I'm saying? So the virtual test drive would have to be something that is not virtual, but actually physical, where you actually get into a simulator. Okay, and then the simulator could be tied in easily, because what you could do is once you're done with all your configuring, you send that package, your final choices, you send that report to the simulator. The simulator loads up all your preferences. You sit in a simulator, you put your virtual headset on, you see your car. your interior, as everything you see right there. You can even tie in a holographic projection or the projection from the visual headset so that it actually looks like your car when you're approaching the simulator to get in. Open the door, it's just like the car. You get in it and you're seeing all of your choices, your carpet color, your interior color, your simulated wood grain panel steering, etc., right? Then you start the virtual test drive, excuse me, by picking the different road conditions, etc. And then the whole thing would have to move, right, to mimic road hazards, bumps, etc., etc. Okay. Now I know I threw a lot at you guys, but I'm not done. So I know. Listen, when I talked a little bit about consistency and typography in your last presentation, and what I'm talking about is this. Okay, this is right. This is consistent. This is consistent. Same type size, etc., etc. Right now, it looks like there's a light gray background in there, almost like it brought a bag of color when you copy and paste. You want to definitely address that. So you're consistent here. Everything's consistent. And then we get to this page, and the type size changes here too. This is different. Then we get to some different kind of configurations right here. This has got a different head than this. Okay, type size is different here than it is here. So my recommendation is to really get this down onto a grid, the design, get it onto a grid, make your type choices. Right now, the pages that have one column of text, one text block, are really long. Character count is really long. I would recommend taking these pages and gridding this out into 2 columns. Remember, optimal type count for typography for optimal reading is in between 49 and 69 characters. Right now, you're well over 100. That includes characters, punctuation, and spaces. So I would recommend going to 2 columns in those areas that need that. And then set up a grid and follow it, guys. I think that you're off to a really, really great job. One issue in presentation is the actual footer. Right now, the bottom of the RimCAD logo is getting cropped right there. So that, again, that's an issue. All right, guys, I know, like I said, I know I've thrown a lot at you, but it's going to make sense. Kendal, don't feel so much in the middle. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Team Kendal, you guys are all you're doing really good stuff here. I'm loving it. The work is highly indicative of human-centered design, highly indicative of design thinking, highly indicative of deep dive immersion. So this is good stuff, guys. All right, let's get your confidence back. Let's finish this thing strong. Questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, please let me know. All right, great. Thanks, Team Kendal.